My name is Grant Ashby. I'm 34, and I spend most of my life finding the one line in a company's books that everybody else missed on purpose. Forensic auditing, technically. Fraud sniffing, in practice. I'm good at spotting the small, rotten detail that's quietly hollowing out something bigger. I was significantly worse, historically, at saying true things out loud to the one person who ever actually mattered to me. 3 days ago, I landed back home after a case that ran 6 weeks longer than it should have, walked into the arrivals hall half asleep on my feet, and saw Maren Ellis standing by the luggage carousel like no time had passed at all. I said something I shouldn't have. 4 words undid me before I even finished landing the joke. She said 4 words back that undid me completely. I almost didn't recognize her for a second, and then I recognized her instantly, the way you do with someone you loved before you knew what that word cost. She had a little girl on her hip, maybe 6, in a lavender dress with white shoes, legs swinging gently against Maren's side. Maren was in a matching lavender dress, elegant, put together in the specific way people manage when they've had a lot of practice holding themselves together in public. I still had my briefcase in one hand, suit jacket creased from the flight, looking like exactly what I was, someone who'd come straight from a job and hadn't stopped moving in days. Grant? Maren. I said her name like I was checking it still worked in my mouth. It's been, what, 10 years? 11? She almost smiled. You look tired. Occupational hazard. I nodded at the girl, who was studying me with the specific, unblinking focus kids have when they're deciding whether an adult is interesting. This can't be. Poppy. My daughter. Hi, Poppy. Poppy said nothing. She just kept looking, cataloging. I don't know what made me say what I said next. Exhaustion, maybe. Old habit. The particular stupidity that comes from standing too close to someone you used to love and not knowing what else to do with your hands. So, I said, trying for light, trying for the easy thing we used to be able to do with each other. Still married to the lucky guy? I used to joke I wished you weren't. I watched it land wrong before I even finished the sentence. Maren's face didn't crumple. It just went very still, the specific stillness of someone who's had to get good at holding a face together in public. I'm a widow now, she said. The arrivals hall kept moving around us. A cart rattling past, a flight number changing on the board overhead, somebody's reunion happening 20 feet away, loud and happy and completely oblivious. None of it touched us. I stood there with my joke still hanging in the air like something I couldn't take back. Because I couldn't. Maren, it's fine. It wasn't. You didn't know. How long? 14 months. She shifted Poppy higher on her hip, the practiced motion of someone who does it 100 times a day. We were actually just picking up my sister from her flight in. Small world running into you at the same gate. I am so sorry. I know. She looked at me for a second longer than the moment required. It's good to see you, Grant. I have to get her home. She was gone before I found anything else worth saying, which was, I'd come to realize, exactly the pattern of my whole life with her. I found out the rest from Owen Prescott, a mutual friend who cornered me at the gas station 2 days later with the specific energy of a man who'd been waiting for an excuse to talk about it. You really didn't hear? Owen said. Julian Ellis. Small plane went down doing a pass over the vineyard's upper terraces. Engine failure? Nothing anybody could have stopped. Bad luck on a bad afternoon. I was in Singapore for 4 months on a case. I don't check the news from home. Guess not. Owen shook his head. Maren's been running that whole vineyard alone since. 110 acres, a tasting room, a staff of 8. Julian did all the books. She's been teaching herself as she goes. How's she managing? Owen's expression flickered, the specific look of someone deciding how much to say. Depends who you ask, he said. Depends whether you ask her or Cormac. Who's Cormac? Julian's older brother, co-trustee on the land the vineyard sits on. Family trust their grandfather set up 30 years back. Keeps the property out of any one person's hands. Cormac's been making noise since the funeral about Maren not being equipped to run it solo. Owen looked at me carefully. Might want to actually go see her instead of getting the whole story from me at a gas pump. I drove out there that afternoon. Poppy found me before Maren did, crouched by a row of vines with a garden hose she clearly wasn't supposed to be holding unsupervised. You're the boy who climbs things, she announced, without preamble, the flat certainty of a kid stating a fact she's fully confirmed. I'm sorry? Mommy has a picture of you. in a box. There's a story about a boy who climbed the old grain silo on a dare and got stuck up there for 2 hours until the fire department came, and everybody thought it was the funniest thing that ever happened in this town. She examined me like she was matching a photograph. That's you. That might be me. Mommy tells it like the boy's not real. Like it's just a story. Poppy shrugged, already losing interest, turning the hose on a patch of dirt that didn't need it. But it's you. I didn't get a chance to ask her anything else, because Maren came around the barn at that exact moment, saw me standing in her vineyard, and went very still for the second time in 3 days. You came out here. I came to apologize properly. The joke? I wasn't thinking. I'd have never said that if I'd known. I know you wouldn't have. She crossed her arms. Not defensive exactly, just bracing. You couldn't have known. I don't blame you for the joke, Grant. I blame the universe for the timing. How are you actually doing? Not the version you tell people at the gas station. She looked at me for a long moment, like she was deciding how much truth was safe to spend on someone who'd shown up 3 days ago after 11 years of nothing. Some days I'm fine, she said finally. Some days I stand in the tasting room and forget for a second that I'm the one who has to answer the phone now. It comes back fast. It always comes back fast. And the brother? Cormac? Her jaw tightened. You heard about that already. Small town. He thinks I can't run this place. He's not entirely wrong that it's been hard. He's using that to try to force a buyout at a price that's insulting. And if I don't take it, he's threatening to push it through the trust anyway, on paper, whether I agree or not. Can he actually do that? According to his lawyer, yes. According to mine, it's murkier than Cormac wants me to believe. She exhaled. I don't actually know. I've been too tired to fight it properly. I stayed for dinner that first night, mostly because Poppy insisted, and mostly because I didn't want to leave yet. Maren showed me the tasting room's back office afterward, half apologetic, half like she wanted a second set of eyes, even if she wouldn't say so directly. Julian did all of this, she said, gesturing at a filing cabinet stuffed with binders. I'm still learning where everything lives. I picked up the most recent expense binder out of habit, the same habit that pays my mortgage. I wasn't looking for anything. I just can't not look. Once a ledger's open in front of me, 10 minutes in, something snagged. 3 maintenance requests over the past year, each one for repairs to the tasting room's foundation. Water damage, structural concerns, the kind of thing that gets worse the longer it sits. Each one requested by Maren. Each one denied by the trust, under a threshold that required Cormac's sign-off. Same handwriting, same 2 initials at the bottom of every denial. CM. Maren. What? Come look at this. She read it twice. The way you read something you already suspect but haven't let yourself say out loud. He's been denying repairs, she said slowly, for over a year. And then telling the trust's lawyers the property's falling apart because you can't maintain it. That's not incompetence. Her voice had gone very quiet. That's on purpose. I've seen this exact pattern in 6 different family businesses, I said. It's always the same shape. Someone controls the money and lets the thing they're supposedly protecting quietly fail, so they've got a reason to take it over later. Maren sat down hard in the office chair, the binder still open in her lap. You weren't even supposed to be here for any of this, she said. You showed up to apologize for a joke. I'm glad I did anyway, I said, and I meant it more than the sentence let on. Maren's lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Priya, arrived within the hour once Maren called her, and read through the denials twice before saying anything. This isn't just useful, Priya said. This is the entire case. He's arguing the property's unsafe because of your negligence. This proves the property's unsafe because he refused to authorize the repairs himself. That's not negligence. That's sabotage with his own signature on it. Cormac agreed to meet at his house 2 days later, mostly because Priya suggested it would look better for him to hear it privately before it became a filing. He opened the door already braced for an argument, and Priya set the binder on his coffee table without narrating it, letting him read the dates and denials in his own handwriting. He didn't say anything for a long time. I kept telling myself the trust needed to stay solvent, he finally said, mostly to the folder, not really to any of us. That if I held the line on spending, there'd be something left for Poppy later, something Julian would have wanted protected. You could have just talked to me, Maren said. Instead of doing this. I watched you struggling, Cormac said. I told myself I was protecting my brother's legacy. You were protecting your exit price, Priya said, evenly. There's a difference, and the paperwork proves it. Cormac didn't fight it after that. Something in his face gave out. The specific collapse of someone who's been caught, and finally too tired to keep denying it. He withdrew the buyout petition in writing before the week was over. I stayed in town longer than I'd planned. Longer than made sense for someone whose entire career runs on being wherever the next case is, not wherever he wants to be. Maren and I ended up on her porch one night. A week after Cormac backed down, the vineyard quiet around us in the specific way vineyards go quiet at night. Wind moving through the rows, nothing else. I have to tell my supervisor tomorrow whether I'm taking a case in Denver, I said. 8 weeks minimum. She didn't answer right away, which told me more than a response would have. 11 years ago, I said, before things between us just stopped. I had a version of a sentence I never said. I don't even remember exactly what it was anymore, just that it existed, and that I let a long-distance schedule kill it slowly instead of ever actually saying it out loud and finding out what would happen. Eventually I stopped waiting. And mostly that was healthy. And then I met Julian, and I loved him completely. And none of that gets smaller just because I'm about to say the next part. Say it anyway. There was a door I never fully closed, she said. It didn't take anything away from Julian that it was there. It just meant some part of me kept telling our daughter a story about a boy who climbed a grain silo for years without asking myself very hard why. Neither of us said anything else for a while. Then her hand found mine on the porch boards, and neither of us moved it away. I called my supervisor the next morning and told her to give Denver to someone else, and asked about the regional post 2 hours from here instead of 2 states away. 6 months later, Poppy told her entire kindergarten class she was bringing 2 people to family day, and that the second one used to climb things and get stuck, and thought it was worth it anyway. She made me promise to tell it properly this time. The whole thing, she said, hands on her hips, entirely serious in the way she gets about things that matter to her. Not the version with the ending missing. I told her I would. And a month after that, standing at the same arrivals gate where I'd once made the worst joke of my life, I watched Maren walk through with Poppy's hand in hers, coming to pick me up from a 2-day trip instead of a 6-week one. And I said the thing I actually meant this time, out loud, no joke hiding behind it. She didn't have to say 4 words back. She just smiled, and reached for my hand instead.